For over the past 20 years, the Lexus GX has built a name for itself for essentially being a reliable alternative to premium off-road vehicles from Jeep, Land Rover, and of course Mercedes-Benz with their G-Wagon. Now, the original GX essentially started out life as a guzzied up version of the Toyota 4Runner. However, over the years, Lexus has morphed this thing into a premium, sophisticated off-road vehicle that shares its platform with the latest version of the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, sold overseas but now also available in North America. Now, that statement especially holds true with the latest third generation because Lexus is introducing its first ever factory-built off-road model called this. This is the GX 550 Overtrail Plus. It gets additional ground clearance courtesy of suspension upgrades and these 33-inch tall all-terrain tires, and it also has a much more aggressive look with bulging fender flares that give it an actual wider body. Painted in this shade of earth metallic with the black roof, it certainly makes it one of the most attractive Japanese SUVs to come out this year. Now, as you can see, this week we are testing out the fully loaded Overtrail Plus trim level, and the big question I want answered, for those of you who are essentially looking for the Japanese equivalent to a G-Wagon, how does the latest version of the GX 550 Overtrail stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the styling differences between the Overtrail and the other trim levels like the Luxury or Premium, let me go ahead and pop the hood and remind you guys what's powering this thing. Now, here in America, at least at launch, Lexus is only offering the GX in the 550 trim level, which means you have a 3.4-liter twin turbocharged V6. Now, as you can see underneath this hood, you'll find the latest powertrain to essentially replace the V8 in the previous generation GX 460. Like I said, it's a 3.4-liter gasoline direct injection twin turbo V6. It's been detuned slightly compared to the LX 600. This vehicle here, it makes 349 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. That's nearly 50 more horsepower versus the old V8 and over 100 foot-pounds of torque, which is a nice healthy increase. All that power goes out through a 10-speed automatic transmission, and all GXs come with the company's full-time four-wheel drive system. The Overtrail version essentially adds the latest version of their multi-terrain select, their electronic KDSS suspension, and you also have a locking center and a locking rear differential. This is a true four-wheel drive system with a low-range transfer case. It gives this vehicle the bones that it needs to actually tackle some serious off-roading. Fuel economy is going to be a downside with this engine, rated at 15 in the city, 21 on the highway. That is on premium gas. This vehicle has around a 21-gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 330 to 350 miles of range, which isn't fantastic. Now, Lexus did promise a hybrid is coming. We haven't had any updates yet on when the hybrid is coming, but it's likely going to have the same 2.4-liter turbo 4 with the electric motor from the Land Cruiser, known as the GX 550H overseas. We'll have to save that for a different review. Lexus claims this powertrain is good for 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds. It has a 109 mile per hour top speed. And the GX is one of the strongest towing vehicles that you'll find in this segment, towing just over 9,000 pounds with the Overtrail trim. That is among the best in the segment, but some people question whether this vehicle can actually tow that much because it isn't quite as long as some of the competitors that can tow that much. In terms of the curb weight, this vehicle weighs in at just over 5,500 pounds. It's around 150 pounds lighter versus the Luxury Plus trim that we tested a few months ago. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, this particular color is called Earth with the black onyx roof. It doesn't have like a metallic in the name, but it does have metallic sparkles in it. When you actually look at it in person in the sunlight, you can see it's a beautiful color that flows nicely with the bulging hood and lines of the new GX. You can see the front fascia. All of them come standard with their premium triple beam full LED headlights with an LED daytime running light and turn signal. You also have LED fog lights and cornering lights down there at the lower fascia. That's standard equipment if you guys go for the Premium Plus trims and up. And you can see the Lexus spindle grille here certainly looks bold in the GX. In fact, I really love the way it looks with the lines of this vehicle. You can see it's a functional air intake opening. They've essentially moved the grille up a little bit to kind of give this vehicle better approach angles, and you can see the front bumper also has like a skid plate look. There are actual skid plates underneath there to help protect critical components, and the Overtrail model essentially comes with just under 9 inches of ground clearance. It's a little bit more versus the regular GX, and that's because of those 33-inch tall all-terrain tires. Moving around the side profile of the vehicle, you can see it's just a really attractive looking SUV. I love the boxy proportions. I love the extended length that you get. The Overtrail model is around 78.7 inches wide, around 4.5 inches wider than the previous generation, so that's pretty intense. It also has a 112.2 inch wheelbase with a 197 inch long overall length. This vehicle essentially has the same dimensions as a Land Rover Defender 110, with including the rear spare tire on the back. Compared to the Land Cruiser, this vehicle is just over 3 inches longer overall, but they do share the same wheelbase. The GX, again, is wider, courtesy of these bulging fender flares, especially on the Overtrail. It's around 0.7 inches wider than the standard GX, and I really love these 18-inch graphite gray wheels with the 6-spoke design, and it's riding on a Toyo Open Country all-terrain tire. Measuring a 265 by 70 R18. Like I said, they're a 33-inch tall tire. The brake rotors just under 14 inches. With the rears just under 13 inches. Like I said earlier, steel suspension, but you do have their electronic kinetic damping system, EKDSS, of course. And then you can see the wheel arch trim is unpainted, but it looks good with this color, especially with the rock rails that you get along the side. So no retractable running boards there like in the Luxury Plus. You can see the mirrors, they are black painted. They're also power folding, integrated turn signals, full cameras throughout the vehicle, 360 cameras. And then you can see above me just a standard sunroof. If you guys are looking for a pano roof, you can only get that on the Luxury Plus, although it doesn't open up to vent air. You can see the black roof rails and the black roof with this color with the black door handles and mirrors just make it so attractive. I mean, this is definitely a looker. It's going to age extremely well. People still do a double take whenever they see one because it's such a beautiful looking SUV. It just looks tough, masculine, and aggressive. It literally looks like a J-Wagon, so the Japanese equivalent to a G-Wagon, which is just awesome. Now looking at the rear, you can see the traditional Lexus styling cues here. It's got that full light blade LED taillight with Lexus boldly spelled out the back, GX 550 badge, LED turn signals, of course, LED reverse lights. You have a spoiler at the top here with your third brake light, of course. No digital camera rearview mirror on this trim. You do have a rear wiper, of course, that's mounted right there in the middle of the glass. And then you can see the rear bumper. It hides the exhaust. It's a single outlet exhaust. That little cover there exposes the tow hitch. You have a full-size matching wheel mounted underneath the bumper as well. Now, in terms of the cargo area, you can access it by pushing that button, and you can also just flip open this glass, which is a great feature if you don't want to open up the entire tailgate, or you can also just activate the power liftgate. The Plus trim that I'm showing you here includes a hands-free activated power liftgate, but a power liftgate is going to be standard on all versions of the GX. You can see in terms of cargo, this does have the most cargo capacity in the GX family, and that's because this model deletes the third row. Lexus basically said that they understood that owners of the Overtrail who want to go off-roading don't need the third row. They'd rather have more cargo space and the ability to put a bed in this vehicle. You can see without the battery pack in the rear, like in the Land Cruiser, you have a much lower floor, and you also have around 45 cubic feet of storage space. That's an extra 5 cubic feet compared to the other trims with the third row, which is fantastic. You can see you have a 12-volt power outlet over here. You have some tie-down hooks, and if you look underneath the floor over here, there is additional storage in addition to your jack and the tools, of course. If you want to fold down the second row seats, Lexus says it expands the cargo to around 91 cubic feet of space. 91 is definitely a huge amount, and it also makes it around 13 cubic feet more versus the 3-row versions of the GX. So again, if you're looking for the most off-road capability and the most cargo space, you're going to want to look at the Overtrail trim. So the outside styling of the GX 550 Overtrail Plus certainly is as handsome as ever, but what about the interior? This is where does it live up to the Lexus standard? That's what a lot of people want to know when you have a vehicle that has the Lexus badge. Now, looking at the key fob, you can see this is the current intelligent access fob that Lexus has been using for years. It has the usual buttons here for lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic. There's also remote start from the fob itself. If you push the lock button 3 times, hold it on the third time until the vehicle flashes its lights at you, that'll activate the remote start. This vehicle also comes available with the digital key function. If you guys are an owner, you can use your smartphone as a key, which is definitely a nice proposition as well. Now, locking the door, you can see there's a little area there. If you touch that, it will lock the door for you, and it'll also power fold the mirrors. This vehicle does not come with an auto walk-away lock or unlock feature, which is something that Toyota, I'm hoping, will add at some point. If you touch the back of the door handle there, you can see it's just a traditional pull style door handle, but it does have a sensor on the back that allows you to open up the door for you. Now, looking at the interior color of my test car, you can see the earth exterior pairs very nicely with the Chateau New Luxe interior with the olive green ultra suede accents. You can see this light two-tone colored seats look fantastic, and it's kind of nice how it matches the exterior color as well. I love the way the seats look. This is a new Lux, so it's a fake leather, but it feels just as nice as real leather. I also love the olive ultra suede with the contrast stitching, the perforations. These seats adjust in just 10 different ways, surprisingly. That's included when you guys go for the Plus trim level, but they're also heated, ventilated, and massaging. So the massaging seats are included with the Plus trim. You can see the door panel has pretty decent materials, although this is where it could be a little bit nicer. The upper portion does have a soft touch injection molded plastic. This would have been better if it was leather stitch. Padded over here, again, would have been better if it was leather stitched. It is leather stitched and extra padded down on this lower portion here. You have this kind of wood trim look accent. You can see inside the door panel here where there is perforated leather, you can see like these green hexagons there, which is a really cool touch. My test car also has the 21 speaker Mark Levinson stereo, which sounds incredible. If you guys are an audiophile, highly recommend ticking that $1,100 option box. Down here it is a hard touch plastic, so there is a little bit of cheapness on the door panel, but there is a nice aluminum accented door handle here. But overall, once you get past that, the seats and the interior pretty much are befitting of the Lexus badge. Now once you get inside, you can see grab handle to kind of help hoist myself into this vehicle because it has around 9 inches of ground clearance. As I shut the door, the door has a pretty solid sounding thunk. There is no soft close feature on the GX. You have to step up the Lexus totem pole to get that feature. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can see start stop button is located high on the dash. Put your foot on the brake, push the button, and you can hear it has a traditional starter noise, and that's because the GX is not a hybrid or a mild hybrid, although a full hybrid is coming sometime later on next year. Now, looking at the interior, you can see this is pretty similar to the Luxury Plus that I tested a few months ago. All GXs come with the big 14-inch Lexus interface infotainment system, which includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also have this lower portion here, which has all of your climate and heated seat controls fixed into the screen. This never changes. This screen, however, does change. You can change that based on what you'd like it to connect to, along with your smartphone integration. I also love these dials for the dual zone climate control with the little screen in the middle of the dial, which kind of shows what the temperature is. You can also tap that. It'll give you some quick, frequently used options, which is nice. The steering wheel is also their newer Lexus designed steering wheel with paddles to control the 10-speed auto. You have a power tilt telescoping steering wheel as well, which I believe is included with the Plus trim level, along with the memory seats. You have a fully digital 12.3-inch instrument cluster, which is slightly customizable. You can kind of change the way that looks by adjusting this little display over here. We can kind of go to a full map display as well, a minimalistic display, or the twin dial display, which I think looks the best. If you start messing with the drive mode selector, you can see that also will change the way the gauges look, which is kind of funny to find a Sport Plus in this vehicle. But when you put it into Sport Plus, you can see it kind of gives you a white outline to the tachometer and the speedometer, which makes it look a little bit sportier. That's part of your Lexus Safety System 3.0. It's a camera that watches your face to make sure you're paying attention. Heads-up display is also included as an a la carte option. You can see the upper dash has a soft touch injection molded plastic throughout the entire upper dash. This area here also is slightly rubberized and padded, which is nice. Down here you can see there's a slight little storage shelf, and it's nice and padded over here with this aluminum trim. The dash vents you can see are traditional, which I appreciate, as opposed to motorized vent controls. The interior, I will say, doesn't look very luxurious, but it feels luxurious with its high build quality and its nice materials. I kind of think that Lexus could have done a better job by putting some more wood on the dashboard, just kind of giving it a little bit more color. Down here you do have some wood look trim, along with your drive mode selector, along with a multi-terrain selector. This is one of the big differences between the Luxury Plus and the Overtrail, is you do have the MTS multi-terrain selector with 5 different modes if you guys plan to do some serious off-roading. You also have downhill assist control with crawl control. So these are, again, unique to the Overtrail model. The other trims will just have the drive mode selector. There's a tow haul mode in the transmission, stability control off switch. You can see pull that gear lever, which is traditional, and then push it up there to go into reverse. It gives you your full 360 camera with trajectory. It has distance markers and cross traffic alert, all that stuff, and cross traffic braking that you expect in today's modern vehicles, along with a pretty high quality resolution camera. It also gives you a 360 perimeter scan, although I much prefer what the Europeans give you or the Koreans give you, where you can kind of do a 360 perimeter scan around the vehicle by dragging it, as opposed to that. That's kind of a useless view for me. You have your cup holders here. If I close that lid, it feels nice and sturdy. You also have a nice little power outlet over there, your 2 USB-C charging ports, your 4-wheel drive select control over here. It's always in high-low as default, along with the low range transfer case there. You can see electronic parking brake, your locking center and rear diff here. That's unique to the Overtrail with that locking rear diff to help you get unstuck if you're in some challenging off-road conditions. You have a wireless phone charging pad here, nice padded center console, which feels really high quality and plush. Open this up, you can see my test car also has the cool box that actually turns the center console into a refrigerator, blows cold air, and also is insulated, and it gets really cold. That's a great place to store drinks if you guys are taking this vehicle on some longer road trips. Like I said earlier, the seats are extremely comfortable and supportive. The massage function also works well, although what I don't like, however, to access the massage, you have to go into the screen, tap seat controls, tap massage, and then tap the side that you want, and then turn it on right there. There's 5 different types of massage, but I really wish that Lexus would have just given us an actual button here on the dash where I can quickly access the massage. It could have been easily done right here where there's the 3 memory seat controls along with some additional buttons over here. So I really think that that's a change that I'm hoping Lexus does in the future, because this was infuriating to have to go into the screen every time, and you also can't even use your voice commands to tell it to turn on the massage. So again, that's something where Lexus needs to upgrade the software behind it. You can see the glove box, push that open, it goes into the dash. It's not the biggest glove compartment because it has 2 different levels of storage, so I think that it could have been better there in terms of the storage solutions. The frameless auto-dimming rearview mirror is nice, but if you're looking for a digital camera rearview mirror, Lexus doesn't offer it on this trim. You have to step it up to the Luxury Plus. Above me, you can see there's a woven material for the headliner. You have LED and matte lighting along with the thematic ambient lighting throughout this vehicle, which is included with the Plus trims. The standard sunroof, as you can see, has a traditional shade. It opens up to vent air as well, and along with tilting. But again, if you want a panoramic roof that opens up, Lexus does not offer that. You can only get a glass roof on the Luxury Plus. But overall, the interior, as you can see, certainly looks nice, although it could look more luxurious with more wood and brighter materials. But the build quality is fantastic. I didn't hear a single squeak and rattle, and you also have this great commanding view of the road, and there's also plenty of space to stretch out in the front seat area. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat so I can show you guys what that space is like. You can see opening up the rear door. The door actually could open up a little bit larger, especially if you plan to use this as a family vehicle. The Plus trim levels also include the manual retractable shades, which is nice to kind of help block out the sun. This upper portion has a somewhat padded material, although it doesn't feel quite as plush as the front door area. It's also padded over here, some plusher leather and with stitching over here with the wood trim and the metal accents for the door handles. You can see Mark Levinson stereo carries over back here, but it's all hard touch plastic on this lower portion of the door panel. You can see the seats also look pretty nice with the two-tone look with the chateau. However, if you guys are noticing, there's no olive green accents on the rear seats. Instead, you just have the contrast stitching. The olive green you can see is only on the front seats. These seats also do have the ability to fold down. Obviously, you pull on that, you can see they flip forward completely to basically allow you to fold this down to increase the cargo. But when you don't have it folded down all the way, you can see there's a noticeable difference in the height here. So this could be a problem if you guys plan to actually want to put a bed in here. It's going to limit the cargo capacity again to where you could lay something down entirely, because these seats, I don't believe, are removable. Now, getting back into the second row area, you can see there's a nice grab handle here. Kind of pull myself in, and let me go ahead and adjust the seat here as I close the door. You can see the back seat space is definitely not going to be the most in this segment. In fact, Lexus only says you have around 37 inches of legroom back here, which is perfectly acceptable. This is pretty much where I have the seat to drive for my driving position. There's good foot space. There is a large hump here in the center console area for the middle passenger. You do have rear seat air vents. You have 3-level heated seats, which is nice. You have 2 USB-C charging ports. You have 2 storage cubbies. I could sit back here and cross my legs, although it's not, again, the most spacious. You can also see this seat also folds down to give you an armrest with 2 cup holders. I also like the really plush head restraints here. The sunroof does take up space, but it does have a little dip area here that kind of gives you a little bit more headroom. In terms of the headroom space, you can see I have a solid maybe 3 inches at 5'7", so it's a pretty good amount of head space. You can see if I pull that, you can see this actually does allow the seat to recline a fair amount. So overall, if you want to use this as a family vehicle, the GX can certainly do so, but just remember some of its competitors do offer some more second row legroom along with a larger opening to get a car seat into this back seat area. So here we are back behind the wheel of the fully redesigned third generation Lexus GX. When this vehicle was first revealed, it was definitely one of my favorite cars that was introduced for 2024, and this time we are spending a full week with the Overtrail Plus model. Remember, this is the most off-road oriented version of the GX, and it's also the first Lexus to have their new Overtrail trim level hierarchy. This is their new off-road oriented trim. We also just saw an Overtrail version of the new LX 700H, but this model here, essentially what differentiates it from the Luxury Plus are the 18-inch wheels on the 33-inch all-terrain tires. We have the KDSS adaptive suspension, and we also have a locking rear diff. This vehicle also has a smidge more ground clearance. Mostly that's coming from the tires, of course, but overall, it still has the same beautiful qualities that we saw in the Luxury Plus trim level here, although I do notice the ride quality is a little bit better thanks to the fact that it has less or more aggressive tires with less or with more sidewall protection. But the last time I 0 to 60 tested the Luxury Plus, I got 6.48 seconds. So let's go ahead and see what we can get this time, if I can get my race box to stay on the windshield. Let's try that again, shall we? We'll brake torque it. Nice sound from that V6. Holy moly, 0 to 60 in 5.89 seconds? I was not expecting it to be over a half a second faster than the Luxury Plus that I tested. I'm confused. I mean, I had it in Sport Plus. This model is a smidge lighter than the Luxury Plus, I think about 150-ish pounds, but 5.9 seconds, that's awfully quick. We'll test it again 2 more times and see if we can get a consistent run, but that actually is a really quick time. That time makes this vehicle around 2 seconds faster than the Toyota Land Cruiser was, the last one that I tested with its hybrid powertrain, which that hybrid powertrain will eventually make its way into the GX as well. We don't know when that's going to be coming yet, but that's going to be the more fuel efficient option. Clearly the V6 had something done, at least for this Overtrail model, because it's pretty fast. Oof. Love that powertrain response. It sounds good. It shifts quick. 6.18 seconds there. So that's with it more going slightly uphill. That tells me that the time of 5.89 is pretty darn accurate. And again, that's with more slightly uphill gradient, so it's going to slow it down a bit. But overall, I'm impressed. This V6 engine, spending another week with it after spending a week with the Land Cruiser's hybrid, solidifies it as my choice. I love this twin-turbo V6. Now, of course, the twin-turbo V6 also loves to consume gas, so if you guys want better fuel economy, that's where the hybrid powertrain that's coming could, better suit you. But this engine is just befitting for a Lexus. It's smooth, it's powerful, it's torquey, it makes a great noise as well. It's an augmented sound, especially in Sport Plus. It's also hooked up to a 10-speed auto, which just bangs off of shifts. It's a really crisp, quick shifting transmission that's perfectly paired with this engine's meaty torque curve. I mean, 350 horsepower certainly isn't a lot from a V6 twin turbo, but it does have the same 479 foot-pounds of torque that you get in this powertrain in the LX 600. So wonderful powertrain. It basically lives up to my expectation of a Lexus, and it's a worthy replacement for the old 4.6 liter V8. Now, this model here, of course, with the all-terrain tires is going to probably handle a little bit more cumbersomely, but at the same time, I'd have to drive a Luxury Plus back-to-back to really feel the difference. It honestly handles pretty darn well for a body-on-frame SUV. Obviously, there's lots of body lean. The KDSS suspension tries its best to emulate active anti-roll bars, because remember, it has basically side-to-side linkage of the fluid between the anti-roll bars, and it helps to reduce body lean. But even just driving the vehicle normally, it just feels like a tank. And that's what I love about the GX, is it feels very much like a Defender or even a G-Wagon. It has that tank-like feel with that commanding view of the road that just makes this car so much more pleasurable to drive. And it just feels like you can basically run over any terrain and it'll handle it just fine. It is a wonderful powertrain combination that I think a lot of people, especially if you've always driven G-Wagons or Defenders, are going to be pleasantly surprised to find. Let's try our final run here. Man, it really responds well to brake torquing. Love it. 5.9 seconds there, so for some reason, this model is literally over a half a second faster than the last Luxury Plus trim that I tested, which is absolutely fantastic. This is wonderful acceleration figures, and it really kind of reminds you why you should spend the extra money for the Lexus version of this platform versus the hybrid powertrain. But let's go ahead and switch the drive mode here into its comfort setting, or normal setting actually. We'll go to normal. And this is the mode that most people are gonna drive the GX in, especially the Overtrail. This is where the dampers get a little bit softer. The engine also quiets down a little bit. It's not quite as augmented through the speakers with the sound that the engine plays, although it's a nice sound. And the seats in this vehicle are so comfortable. It's another reason why you want to buy the Lexus. It has just a plusher seat. Even though these are the olive Nulux, so it's a fake leather, they feel as high quality and plush as real leather. I also love the ultra suede material. The massaging front seats in this vehicle are amazing as well. So there's a reason to go for the plus trim level for the Overtrails to get those massaging seats. They are some of the best massaging seats that I'll find in this particular class. And in terms of visibility, the GX is a box. You can see out of the front and the side and the rear quite nicely. Remember, this model deletes the third row. Unfortunately, if you guys love the digital camera rearview mirror in the Luxury Plus trim, it is not available in the Overtrail Plus, at least not for now, not even as a dealer accessory, I don't think. It seems like a silly omission that Lexus wouldn't put that feature on this model here. But regardless, the visibility is fine. This has Lexus's Safety System 3.0 as standard, so it has their adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, traffic jam assist. It all works fairly nicely. Remember, this is a modern day, fully modernized GX built on an all new platform, all new powertrains. It finally has the technology that you expect. I love the 14-inch display, 2 inches larger than the Land Cruiser. The all digital instrument cluster also looks nice. The leather on the steering wheel feels good. Not a single squeak and rattle in this car, and that, you know, reminds you that Lexus builds some of the best quality vehicles in the industry still. And it just feels like I could buy this car and drive it for years and years with very little problems. So that's kind of carrying on the legacy of the GX that makes this vehicle so popular. Is people love these because they just last a long time and they feel like tanks. Now, in terms of fuel efficiency, this is where the Toyota Land Cruiser with its hybrid powertrain is going to better suit you if you guys are looking for, you know, much improved MPGs. In my week's worth of testing, I only averaged 16.5 MPG. So that's a little bit better than the 15 that this car is rated to get. On the highway, the best I could get was around 19 MPG, so that's not wonderful. In total, this vehicle will do about 330-ish miles of range on a full tank. It's got a big 21-gallon fuel tank that is on premium fuel, remember. So the hybrid powertrain that's coming should improve that MPG to over 20 miles to the gallon. In the Land Cruiser, it can get 22, 25, which is a very impressive number. So you may be okay with sacrificing some acceleration for that improved fuel efficiency, but if you guys, you know, must have 6 cylinders under the hood with that refinement, that smoothness, that sound, and the speed. I'm surprised this thing is an under 6 second 0 to 60 runner. The GX 550 with its twin turbo V6 should definitely make it to the top of your list. And quite frankly, if you guys are, you know, looking for something like a Defender or a G-Wagon, I mean, the Defender is this car's closest rival. The GX is a little more expensive to boot, but to me personally, I would much rather have this Lexus as opposed to the Land Rover, just for the fact that we know that this car is going to be built to last, and that's something that Land Rovers tend to struggle with. So after spending a full week with the most off-road capable version of the GX, my love for this vehicle has just been solidified even more. When I spent a full week with the Luxury Plus, I love that vehicle. However, I think the Overtrail is definitely the sweet spot in the lineup, especially if you guys don't necessarily need the third row. Lexus certainly has the TX for you if you guys need an actual third row that can carry people and stuff. This vehicle, as you guys saw, has a better ride quality versus the Luxury Plus thanks to the all-terrain tires with more sidewall protection. It's still not the best ride quality you're going to find in this segment. It still has a little bit of the jitteriness that you associate with a body-on-frame vehicle with a live axle in the back. As you also saw, acceleration 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds makes this a half a second faster than the Luxury Plus that I tested. Now, I know this trim is a little bit lighter, but it still didn't really make sense to me. I'll have to see if I can retest one at some other point whenever Lexus decides to loan me one sometime next year. Now, in terms of the interior, still one of the nicest interiors you're going to find. Well, while it doesn't look all that luxurious from a glance, the GX's interior feels luxurious with supple leather material. materials, really high quality or high build quality, and just premium touches throughout with the big display. The infotainment system works extremely well. Handling is certainly not sporty, but that's not the point of a GX. This vehicle is an excellent daily driver that you can still drive around on a daily basis. It feels like a tank. It feels like you can basically run over all the potholes and not have to worry about popping a rim or bending or popping a tire or bending a rim. And in terms of the sales figures, the GX has always done pretty well for Lexus. The company did around just under 32,000 units in 2023. This year, as of end of Q3, they've already sold a little over 20,000 units. So it's been outselling the Land Cruiser by about 3,000 units as of this filming at the end of November. So we'll be curious to see what first year sales ends up. Although this vehicle hasn't been on sale for a full year, I have been seeing them show up around my local area and throughout the country wherever I travel. In terms of pricing, the GX's pricing certainly is expensive, but it's also kind of reasonable when you're looking at the entire package that Lexus gives you. If you guys want to buy the base premium trim, that'll start at just over 64 grand, 64,250. The plus trim level essentially is an extra $7,000 or $8,000. If you guys want the Overtrail will cost you just under 70 grand at 69.2. That compares again very favorably to a competitor like the Land Rover Defender. Those started around 60 grand for a 110. However, Land Rover has a plethora of options. Really, you have to step it up to the highest trims of the Land Rover to kind of match the equipment of the Lexus, because Lexus does give you a ton of standard equipment. Now, this Overtrail Plus trim level, which includes the massaging seats, the upgraded Mark Levinson stereo system, the hands-free power liftgate, and some of the other niceties that you get within the plus trim level, all in with the destination charge and the upcharge for the color. My tester here comes in at $82,900. I know almost 83 grand for this vehicle certainly is expensive. There was a time where that would be the price of a Lexus LX, although the LX is now over $100,000, but it is only about $10,000 more, actually less than that, around $7,000 more versus a fully loaded version of a Toyota Land Cruiser. So it kind of makes this thing a steal if you compare it to the Land Cruiser. I personally would rather have the Lexus, but if you want better fuel efficiency, the Land Cruiser offers that hybrid powertrain. But again, Lexus will eventually offer a hybrid of this model as well here in the States, so that kind of could, you know, swing the tables further more in the Lexus's favor, because I think if you're spending over 70 grand, you may as well get the luxury badge. And I also personally think the GX is a better looking vehicle, especially when you buy it in the Overtrail trim. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new Lexus GX 550 Overtrail Plus. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.